My name is Diane. Welcome to San Francisco News. You know, I'm interested in studying the effects of racism on the black population in San Francisco, and in particularly the effect of racism on young black men in society. I didn't start my career out as a real estate broker and a member of the National Association of Realtors to become an advocate for housing and accessibility. But eventually, after serving as an advocate, beginning as I began to advocate and see what the market was like, I began to advocate more. So I saw a real distinct problem, and that problem was with resources, opportunities for young black men. And I have a guest on our show today, Javon Giles. And Javon, excuse me, welcome to the show, Javon. Welcome to the show, Javon.
What's up, Diane?
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here today. You know, I wanted you to come on the show because you are a young black male.
Yes.
And we want to talk about two things. I want to talk about what it's like for you, and also because you're educated, well educated, I might add, and which has been absolutely a blessing and a real resource for our program and the work that I have ahead of me. But also because you're biracial.
Yeah, I am.
And we're not talking about that, but we need to talk about it. And that only someone that's biracial can speak about.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I can talk about like blacks, and I have black sons and so on. But so those are the two things. And I just want to ask you, what is it like? Now, this is going to be a series.
Okay.
I cannot do it all because it's been going on so long. But let's get started with your take. What is it like for you? You're intelligent, good-looking, young, and I understand you have to deal with racism.
Oh, yeah. Racism, it comes along with the territory of being not only black, but also biracial. I think because being biracial, it comes a whole other element of not only racism within the world, it's also racism within your own family, within your own bloodline. Because, you know, I'm not fully accepted by the blacks in my family because I'm half Mexican. I'm not fully accepted by the Mexican side because I'm half black. You know, there's a whole lot of dynamics between racial tensions amongst society that's essentially just been placed upon us. And what's the best way to put this? White America, essentially.
Yes.
Just white society, white supremacy has placed these nuances of war within each other instead of having solidarity.
Yes.
Yeah.
That solidarity seemed like that lack of solidarity. I mentioned on the when we were honoring the Black Panthers, J. Edgar Hoover, who was the former director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, clearly stated in his goals that in unity there is strength. So their number one goal was to prevent solidarity and unity amongst black people, amongst people, period.
Yeah.
As people, no matter what, when people unify, there's strength in unity.
Yeah. I know the dynamic of the old saying of there's always powers in numbers. Yes. That's a very real concept.
Yes.
And it's not talked about enough because of the idea of powers in numbers is placed upon us as humans.
Yes.
We could overthrow white supremacy. But it's been generationally just spawned upon us that it's hard to really think that is even possible. It is. It's just people need to be educated properly and take the right precautions in terms of going forth about it.
Right. So, overthrowing white supremacy, my God, I've lived long enough to even wrap my mind around that possibility.
Yeah.
And what would, let me just read something. Speaking about, basically we want to talk about the effects of white supremacy.
Yeah.
Really, at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about being young and black in society. Let's not even talk about the older men. We're going to do that in another segment.
Yeah.
But for you, what is it like walking down the street? Because you have friends of all colors.
I do have friends of all colors. Yeah.
So, say just what is it like for your white male friend walking down the street versus you walking down the street, and what do you feel? What do you see?
Well, for me personally, I think it's more of a. I know people are watching me. I know people are really scared around me.
Why?
It's just the color of my skin. It's conditioned to be that way, and I know a lot of
Wait,
people.
just a minute. So they're conditioned to fear you.
Oh yeah, that's how the American society is really built upon fear. It's fear mongering. Because
Mm-hmm.
black people are not dangerous people. If
Right.
you we deem what's deemed to be considered dangerous, especially like robbing, I wouldn't say killing. Well, to the extent of gang violence, it's all
Right.
systemic.
Right.
Like it's designed to be this way to make us seem like monsters. Because most people don't do crime because they want to do crime. They need to do crime to survive.
Right. To eat.
Yeah, and I know that's how people are looking at me when I walk down the street. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is probably some thug. This is some gangbanger because of the color of his skin. No, I'm not a gangbanger.
Right.
I'm like one of the
Right.
nicest people you ever meet.
Right.
I'm very approachable. I'm
Right.
very understanding.
Right.
I'm very educated. Education shouldn't mean I should be better than another person. That's just nonsense. But
Mm-hmm.
I have what society would deem for me to have a checklist to be a good person. But that's just the way society is built upon. It's not a real thing. So I know that I kind of have people looking at me in a certain way. I know there's people on the bus who will clench their purse
Yes.
when they see me.
Yes.
And this one lady, she always clenches her purse. She's known me since I was 12. You've seen me on the bus since I was a child.
Right.
You don't need to clench your purse.
Wow.
So, and I know my white friends can just do whatever the they.
That's okay because we are here to keep it real.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. They can do whatever the F they want.
So they can do whatever the F they want.
Yeah.
As you know, we.
See, we keeping it real. We have to.
Sorry, I actually work
Because
here. So
how we feel. You see that feeling. So that's and Javon is calm.
Yeah.
So when he says something like observes the differences where basically whites have his white friends have like a blank slate and they can do whatever they want and get away with it, you're held to restrictions.
Oh yeah. You see what happened the other day in Atlanta? That shooter,
Yes.
white male, just taken away in handcuffs.
Right. In handcuffs.
Someone looks like me, just even accused of stealing something from the store. I'm shot dead.
Pow, 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 pow.
Essentially, yeah.
Yes.
That's the reality of it.
And I'm glad you mentioned about the Asians that were shot, that were murdered.
Yeah.
His picture wasn't shown, so that's when I knew the person wasn't black.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's a crying shame. When they don't show the picture, 9 times out of 10, what color are they? Black.
And it's a real reflection on, especially the police officer or the sheriff who said he just had a bad day.
Oh my
Which,
God!
It's really interesting to say that because
And the officer said, and I heard it as well, but some people may not have heard him say, this was the chief.
Yeah, it was the police chief. Yeah.
The police chief said what?
He just had a bad day.
So this man murdered 8 women because he was having a bad day.
Well, it's also a reflection of how officers really see themselves, because when officers have a bad day, what do? They'll kill somebody. That's their normal. That's just their condition to be that way because their power of their enforcement. Yeah, it's a reflection of himself. It's a reflection of the people that he is in charge of. So of course they're gonna go with a bad day because that's the kind of things that they do.
Right, and we just don't find it acceptable that they had a bad day. We want to see him persecuted to the full extent of the law, and we just want to extend our condolences right now. To the family.
Spoil alert. He won't. he won't. I'm not even trying to be funny. He just won't. You know.
I hope that you are wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too.
Because I don't believe he will either, but I hope that he will. And I was watching. I'm hoping that our Asian community, stands up and gets a little ferocious.
Yeah, yeah.
Because one thing they won't do. Well, I just hope that what I mean by ferocious is it's real clear they're preying on the weak.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So preying on the weak, the old, the women, but underneath it all is the racism.
Yeah.
And what a legacy the former president, the nightmare. The former president of the United States, I think that was his legacy.
Oh yeah, Trump, absolutely.
Yes. We have over 500,000, almost over 500,000 dead Americans because of COVID. That's his legacy. And you were going to say about the racism legacy for against Asians?
Yeah, saying the China virus and the Kung flu, which is really ridiculous. It's not even catchy.
Right. Right.
But one thing I noticed about a lot of Stop Asian Hate, which I agree with 100%, there's no need to harm anyone.
Right.
But I noticed a lot of Asian communities, because again, racism towards the blacks are so deep rooted. A lot of people say, "Oh, you support Black Lives Matter, but you don't support Stop Asian Hate." So you're so embedded in black racism that you're willing to bring down another black organization to uphold yours. And it's ridiculous. See, we're so conditioned to really hate a certain group of people.
Right, we are conditioned
and
to hate.
I could easily say from my own biases, because I've experienced a lot of hate from or racism from Asian people. Like, I get why this has happened to me before, because American society is conditioned to have them think this way. I know a lot of Asian immigrants think I'm the devil because white America has presented me that way. But I think a real problem with that is not about, oh, who should we support more, Stop Asian Hate or Black Lives Matter. It's about stopping white supremacy. It's about getting together, because it's not essentially Asian hate. It is Asian hate, yes. It's also hating black people. It's also hating Latin Americans. It's not even just Latin Americans, just all people of color, all non-whites are hated towards because of white supremacy.
Right.
And that's the main goal about it. That's something you just have to dethrone.
That is the root. That is exactly the root. The root is white supremacy. What an awful lie. This is why I feel very strongly that black education, black history should be taught in schools. If it's part of the curriculum.
Oh, yeah.
Awareness, because now and you're brown skinned.
Yeah.
So can you imagine the reaction that I get when I see Asian, when Asians see me, or when I see them and see with the mask? So they don't even get to see my beautiful smile. Hi.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and so they already run from me. When they moved to our community in Baby Hunters Point, I was absolutely appalled. I'd never experienced Asian racism because I grew up in San Francisco, worked with my friends were all colors, you know, and so I never experienced it. And maybe if I saw it, I didn't pay attention to it. But now I'm very conscious, of them crossing the streets. And so I used to say, would you please talk to second and third generation Asians? We need you to educate your new members when they come here, and we can all come together, and it would help.
The one thing I could honestly say is I have the old Asian homies in my neighborhood. They don't speak a lick of English, but we acknowledge each other. We both nod our head.
Yes.
Like, I don't talk to them, they don't talk to me, but we know each other.
Exactly.
And we have that sense of solidarity right there.
Yes.
And they know when they see me, they feel safe around me.
That's right.
Because some of them know me since I was a little kid again.
Yes.
They're not holding their purse around me. They open up a little bit. They say hello, because you just need to get to know someone.
That's the part. We have to get to know each other. Because, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because where I walk regularly, it's predominantly Asians that are walking there. And I say, hi, we all waving, we all going like this. And after the attacks on Asians, their reaction to me was still the same.
Yeah.
Because they are familiar with me.
Yeah.
And they know, they're familiar with me. So, like they say, a lack of familiarity can breed contempt, or familiarity can breed contempt. But we're going to use the lack of familiarity. So, let me, there's a lot of research that I've begun to do. And one piece of information that I came across was masculinity and race, the dual dilemma of black men. And this was something written by Robert Staples, who is a psychiatrist and psychologist and professor of psychology at the University of California. And what he said was the net result of the statistic is the jobless rate for black men is 40%. So why am I reading that it's 6 and 7 and 8 and 10 and 11? Somewhere they stop counting. But you can fact check that. You can fact check that by Robert Staples' book. It's Masculinity and Race, The Dual Dilemma, Social Issues, page issues 34.1, written in 1968, page 169 through 183. 40% unemployment.
Yeah.
Why? And I'm sure it's higher for black teenagers. I still have a lot of research to do, but what is your take on that?
Oh, again, it's a systemic design, just in terms of where essentially we were brought up in areas where we're kind of stuck where we're gonna be, like, you know, back in like before transportation.
Yeah.
Everyone grew up within a 15-mile radius, and they never left that radius for their whole lives.
Yes.
And a lot of black people, unfortunately, because there's a term, you're never going to make it out of the hood, and a lot of them don't, because they don't have the access to certain things that would get them out of there. Because there's a reason. Look at education in predominantly black neighborhoods, some of the worst education systems in the country. It's because states don't want to put money into that, because they know education is power. And that also concludes to why there's not free education in America. It's because, again, power in numbers. The more people learn, the more people understand how these things can be dethroned.
So why are there young people that don't understand that education is power? You know, we have people that make it out.
Yeah.
But why are there so few? It's like my son's in a doctorate program. Maybe there's 2 or 3 out of Hunter's Point in 60, 70 years. Why do the majority why don't the majority of young black men say, you know what, okay, I mean, they know what it is. They know the system is rigged against them, but where's the hope that one can get out like others have? Is it that systematic? That's rhetorical, but I want to ask you.
Yeah, I do. I feel it is that systematic, not only because education can be really boring sometimes. You know, especially state mandates. So while the state of California has a certain set of rules of what you're supposed to learn, it's
Right.
really boring. And it also depends on teachers, too, because some teachers have to teach what they're told to teach.
Right.
But if you have teachers out there that really want to show kids, hey, this is your way out, or this is how things really are. Because growing up, I was always told Christopher Columbus just came to America because he wanted to explore. And then when I get to high school,
Right.
he's a murderer.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
so
Right.
it's people have to teach kids the real issues of the world. And I think that's why when I went to college, I loved learning so much in college, because I was learning from people who actually studied so much about the things that they're passionate about, and they're passionate about social change. And I went to City College, one of the best social justice community colleges in the country. SF State, arguably the best social justice university in the world.
Yes.
So I was able to learn a lot from great people who really want to fight for these real causes. So I think that's what the problem with education is. Not enough people are learning from people who really care. And a lot of people are just doing it as a job.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing it as a job. I put this, you said some key things about education being boring.
Yeah.
Man, it's nothing worse than having a bad teacher.
No.
And young people can't find that power, that they can't find that level of well, some can because you did, but a lot of them can't find that self-motivation. So what do we do? Where do we start? Because first we're going to talk about, we're just going to deliver facts. Later on toward the end we'll talk about some solutions, because actually we don't have a lot of time now.
Yeah.
But in starting to wrap this up, there's some great things happening in San Francisco. There's some great things happening in San Francisco, some great things planned, and I hope that they are successful, and we have to go farther. So we will be taking a look at that. I have a lot of research to do, but I want to ask you, I read, I want to quote something from Dr. Boleg, and it says, it's an uphill battle every day. Intersectionality, low-income black heterosexual men are faced with a myriad of problems. This is in Psychology of Men and Masculinity, 14, page 25 through 34. And if a person wants some background, I'll be happy to. You can email us, and we'll give you the exact website address. Why is it well? We kind of know why it's an uphill battle, but I guess what I'm trying to get to is the hope part. I want to end on the hope part. Is there self help? What would you say? Because you know more than I know. You're a young black man, and what's so great is you know about the other side. You know about those that can't get out of the hood, and you know all black men don't grow up in the hood. But what would you like to see us older people do? What should we be doing? I think maybe that's what I should ask you.
I think it's more about just really understanding that the world changes. I know a lot of older generations really can't accept that the world has changed, but that's just how it is. Yes. We live in different societies, or we live in a new society where people think differently and people are exposed to other things.
Yes.
Because you look at a lot of older generations where, for example, a lot of black people who are killed are black transgender people. And people don't want to talk about that because, I didn't know transgender is not a thing. I didn't grow up with that. Well, that's you didn't grow up with that because it wasn't talked about. You weren't aware of these certain things.
Right.
It has a lot to do with learning about the world that we live in and learning about a lot of different aspects that are not talked about. And I do think, especially with black heterosexuality, it's very, very dangerous at times. Because being a black heterosexual male, you already have that condition to think that homosexuality is bad, something wrong with being different. Because you're so uptight about what it means to be masculine. And because masculinity is not a real thing. Femininity is not a real thing. It's all social constructs.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's about older generations understanding that times are changed because we learn more and you learn about different aspects. And when it comes to changing yourself and trying to get out of the hood, it all starts with yourself. No one's going to change you but you.
All right.
You could be given all the books and all the resources, but what are you going to do with it?
That is... Javon, I want to thank you very much for appearing on the show today.
Of course.
I have a lot of research to do. I do have to invite you back.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that you will be available because this will be a series and your input is invaluable.
Yeah. Everyone, I'm here every Friday. I set up Diane's show. So.
Oh, yes. Let's give... Javon is our... he's the producer, the technical producer of my show, and he has been for some time, and I am so thankful.
Yeah, of course.
I've learned so much, and now we have raised the bar, and so that's why I'm interviewing Javon now, because we have to raise the bar. I was wondering, what are we older people supposed to do? And I'm happy to say that I'm getting on track. Because it's time for facts. Everyone knows my passion. Now let's get down to the facts. Transgender blacks, we will have to address that and talk about the statistics on that. Because as I understand, the suicide rate is high, the self-destruction rate is high, the harassment is extreme.
Yeah, this is very scary.
Yes, very scary. Also for... I need to find out, is it correct to say gay men or homosexual men? What do they prefer? So I have a lot of research to do. But what we are doing now is, because I'm part of the older generation without question, and what we're doing now is we need to talk about it. We're going to start talking about it. So what you see there, it's kind of like... No one wants to talk about it. What that shows that picture is representative of the establishment, the white systemic racism in America, wanting us to be quiet. And that's a black man, but it could be a black woman. It could be a Latino. It could be an Asian person. So we want to thank you so much for joining us today. Javon, thank you so much for appearing on the show today.
Of course.
And is there anything that you would like to say in wrapping this up?
Just be a good person, Yeah. There's no need to hate people or try to fight other people. We gotta stick together.
That's right.
No matter what.
That's right.
And one other thing I do want to get out of the way
Come on.
is that white voices will be the ones that ultimately save us because they are the ones in charge.
Right.
Because with your power and you understand what we go through, it's up to them. We do our part already. And our part for centuries have had us killed. So it's up to a certain group of people now.
Yes, it is.
So hopefully within the next lifetime, maybe not my lifetime, maybe my grandkids' lifetimes, but I'm really happy that the younger generation right now, the Gen Z kids, as much as they annoy me sometimes, they're really on board and they really get how this world works. So shout out to Gen Z kids. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, Javon. We want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Oh, when you play the video, if you can't play it in its entirety, then they can tune into YouTube.
Yeah, they can go into your YouTube channel, Diane Wesley Smith.
Okay. Would you say that once again, please?
Her YouTube channel is Diane Wesley Smith.
Javon, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for beginning our education and helping us, the older generation, to step it up.
Yeah.
We need to step it up, OGs, or we need to get out the way. As I was saying on towards the end of the program with the Black Panthers, and I was talking about things that are going on. Well, it's so serious now that either you're part of the problem or part of the solution.
Yeah.
Thank you for being part of the solution. Thank you for saying that it was just like when we were freed as slaves. We need good white folks.
Yeah.
But now they're called good white voices. We need white voices.
Sure.
Well, all that, but we do, because whoever controls the system, who has the power. We want to thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Javon.
Of course, Diane.
Bye-bye.